Chapter 9. The night that changed everything started off like a dream. Sonia and her friends were all dressed up and seated around a large table in the most extravagant restaurant any of them had ever been to. The Rainbow Room in Manhattan sat high in the sky on the 65th floor. So high, they all swore they could see the Bronx from the window. They stuffed themselves on buttery, perfectly cooked lobster tails, while Ebony and Anna snapped pictures with disposable cameras. The girls posing like they were elegant movie stars, and the boys looking stern and serious like mafiosos. By the fourth course, everybody was too full to finish their 6-course meals, so the waiter swoops in with their leftovers wrapped in tinfoil swans. Sonia looked around, taking it all in. From the opulent decor to the wealthy diners to her friends who were laughing and enjoying themselves. It was the complete opposite of her life just a few nights ago when she was locked in that disgusting jail cell. She couldn't believe how lucky she was. She looked over at Rico, her eyes lost in his. It was all because of him she was living this dream. A life so far beyond anything she ever imagined. A life that most people in her neighborhood would never get the chance to experience. Rico noticed her gaze, then reached under the table, taking her hand and lacing her fingers with his. She leaned close to him, saying softly, "Thank you."
It's nothing.
Not just for dinner, but for everything. He gave her a nod, then kissed her softly. Outside, the snow swirled down around them. Sonia snuggled closer to Rico, his warm body shielding her from the winter chill as they waited for the valet attendants to return. Holding Sonia tight, Rico asked,
What kind of champagne you want for the party?
"I'm not going. I need to head back to the Bronx."
But the party is for you.
Yanni sighed. "I know, but I told my mother I would come over." Ebony stepped over as a valet attendant returned with Javier's truck.
Just come by later then, after you see your mother.
Ebony said. "I'll try." Sonia waved a breezy goodbye as Yanni and Swin disappeared into the truck with Ebony and Javier. Rico stood with the girls as they waited for a cab.
You sure you don't want me to take you home?
Rico asked again. "I'm sure," Sonia said, knowing Anna would never accept a ride in Rico's Lexus. He pulled out some cash, handed Sonia a few 20s.
At least let me pay for the cab.
I got it.
Anna spoke up.
And I need to pay you for my food, too.
Rico glared at Anna with annoyance as she pulled out her wallet.
You don't have to pay me back. I paid for dinner as a gift to Sonny.
I would feel a lot better giving you your money back. How much was it?
$250.
Anna started doing the math.
So $250 divided by 8 would be...
No, it was $250 per person.
He watched with pleasure at Anna's shock.
Okay. Well, I'll give Sonia the money to get to you later.
Anna said, just as the valet rolled up with Rico's car. Sonia hugged him tighter, shooting him an apologetic look, then said, "Thanks again, Rico. Everything was so nice." He kissed her lips, then slid his arm around her waist.
Why don't you come to my place now and go see your mother later?
He bit his lip in anticipation. Sonia laughed, shaking her head. "I'll see you later." Once Rico's car was out of sight, Sonia turned to Anna and asked, "Why'd you have to be so rude to him?"
I wasn't rude.
Lucky chuckled.
You kept turning up your nose at his money.
Anna shrugged.
Sorry, but I'm just not comfortable taking his money. Where'd he even get it from?
He has a job working for a politician.
Lucky defended her cousin. Then Sonia spoke up. You and my mother are so mean to him. All he does is take care of me and make sure I'm happy. A tense silence fell over them. Then Anna started digging through her purse. She handed Sonia a card in a light pink envelope, like it was some sort of peace offering. You already gave me a card.
It's from Sister Gandhi.
She remembered my birthday?
Of course. She's been asking about you along with everybody else at church. They're asking where you've been and when you're coming back.
A bunch of nosy old ladies. Sonia sighed, stuffing a card into her purse.
No, they miss you. They keep asking how you doing. Worried you're not coming because you don't feel good.
Anna laughed.
I didn't want to tell them the truth, that you've been skipping church to spend time with your boyfriend. You should come tomorrow. Thanks Sister Gansey in person, because you know she put some money in that card.
Maybe. Sonia smiled a little too. Suddenly the thought of reconnecting with her church family, who she hadn't seen in months, seemed like a good idea. Then Lucky spoke up.
Sonny, did you forget our plans tomorrow?
Oh yeah. Can we do that some other time?
I think the sooner we do it, the better.
Do what?
Anna asked. Lucky bought a Ouija board. She trying to talk to ghosts in my house. Sonia and Lucky were laughing, but Anna was stone-faced.
Y'all really shouldn't play around with those things. They're not toys.
Anna is really not that serious. Bucky is just being stupid. It probably won't even work. Sonia laughed. Lucky grinned.
It will. I used it plenty of times. Talk to all kinds of spirits. I think it's Sonia's father hanging around the house.
I told you it's not him, Sonia said, now speaking in a serious tone. I saw the thing clearly the other day, and it was definitely not my father. Anna was shocked they were talking about such craziness in such a casual way.
What are y'all talking about? Ghosts?
This shadowy thing has been following me around, and a bunch of weird stuff has been happening.
Has Aunt Gloria seen this stuff?
I don't think so. After the cab finally rolled up and the girls hopped in, Sonia told them all about that crazy night in the back of the cop car. This ghost lady was in there, and she was real. She choked me, and I blacked out. Now, the cab driver was glancing at Sonia through the rearview mirror. All of this started happening after I asked his bruja to help me communicate with my father. Anna shook her head, looking at Sonia like she was crazy.
Sonny, Uncle Gary is with God now. You can't speak to him through some weird witch.
I just got desperate. I missed him so much, and I wanted to speak to him just one more time. Anna saw the pain in her cousin's eyes.
Sonny, you need to turn to Jesus for comfort. Go to him in prayer and him alone. You know what Isaiah 8:19 talks about, seeking help from the dead instead of God.
Dang, Anna, you just had that memorized? You got total recall or something?
Lucky asked Lather.
No, I just study my Bible, which is what the two of you should be doing. Think I wouldn't be messing around with this stuff.
I don't need that book. It has nothing to do with me. I worship the gods of my people, not some European religion.
Lucky said with attitude.
Christianity is from the Middle East, Lucky.
Wherever it came from, it's not what our ancestors worship. You just following our religion because it was forced on our ancestors.
No, I believe in it because it's true. The Bible's prophecies have come true, and more happening now. More Africans today are turning to Jesus and rejecting your so-called religion because they heard the gospel and know it's true.
They believe in Jesus because colonizers went over there and forced it down their throats.
No, they converted after hearing the gospel from missionaries, not from colonizers. The intelligent people who chose to follow Christ.
Lucky sighed, then said,
You just repeating what white people told you.
No, I'm repeating what members of my church told me. Members from Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. They shared how they came to Christ before immigrating to the States and how they want to continue to spread the word. And after graduation, I'm going to join them.
Anna smiled. Lucky laughed sarcastically.
You and them Africans can believe whatever y'all want. My faith is true, and my ancestors always come through for me. Whenever I pray, the ancestors always give me what I want, and that's how I know it's true.
And you don't think it could be a bad thing, always getting what you want? God doesn't always give us what we want because sometimes He's protecting us and He knows best. If you're getting everything you want now, it could cost you later.
In that moment, none of them knew just how real her words were, but soon they would. Sonia felt embarrassed as she admitted, "I haven't gotten anything I've asked for." Lucky reminded her,
Yeah, said sometimes it takes a little longer to see results. Just have some patience.
as the taxi pulled up to Anna's building, she said in an urgent voice filled with concern.
Or maybe these are your results, and this is your sign to stop. Sonny, you can't drink from both the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons.
They're not demons. And I'm tired of you disrespecting my religion.
Lucky snapped back.
Lucky, you started by attacking my faith and laughing at me like I was dumb and brainwashed for being a Christian.
Anna's voice was high and tight. Then she swallowed hard and took a deep breath to calm herself.
But I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just speaking the truth. You don't know what kind of spirits you're communicating with, and that's why you need that Ouija board to figure it out. But the Bible already told us they're not your ancestors, and they're not spirit guides. They're demons. Lucky, you're invited to church tomorrow too, if you want to come.
Lucky rolled her eyes dramatically as Anna stepped out the cab. There was an intense silence as they drove to Lucky's house. Sonia sat there, reflecting on how her perfect birthday had turned into a crazy debate about Jesus and demons. Lucky saw Sonia's expression and said,
Don't let her scare you. Tomorrow, we'll go to Yaya and get everything straightened out.
Then, to lighten the mood, Lucky joked,
Your cousin sounded like some sort of crazy pilgrim, calling stuff you don't understand witchcraft and ready to burn us at the stake.
Then the cab driver jumped in.
You girls better be careful with that stuff. It really is demonic. A bunch of lying spirits pretending to be ancestors.
He was glancing back at Sonia through the rearview.
You don't think that shadow lady who attacked you has something to do with that brouhaha?
Something else probably crossed over because we did something wrong.
Lucky interjected.
There's no right way to practice witchcraft.
His glance shifted to Lucky.
There's a whole nother realm out there that we can only guess about. And if God wants us to stay away from it, it's for our own good. Jesus is the only true protector. Remember that next time those demons run up on you.
He said to Sonia. Lucky sighed, then she said,
They're just brainwashed and see everything through the Bible and Christianity, a religion that doesn't even belong to us. We both know there's no reason to be afraid of our own ancestors.
You girls better take that seriously. We're talking about your eternal fate. Leave that stuff alone, or you'll wish that shadowy lady was your biggest problem. Those spirits have been around a lot longer than humans have. They're sneaky and smart, a lot smarter than you two kids.
Lucky let out a loud, annoyed sigh, hoping the cabbie got the hint, but he continued.
I want you girls to picture a prison full of the most ruthless, violent criminals to ever exist. I'm talking serial killers, people who torture babies, kidnap and done the unthinkable. The most brutal things imaginable. Now picture them all just being released. All of them are on the streets and free. Then those monsters get deputized and given some authority over you and your lives. That's what you girls are playing with. But those demons are a lot stronger and even more ruthless. Smarter too, because it's not likely you would just invite a bunch of killers into your lives. But you two have let in something a lot worse without a second thought. They've outsmarted you both.
Well, if they are demons, how will we get rid of them? Sonia asked, to Lucky's dismay.
There's only one thing that can get rid of those demons, and that's Yeshua.
Who is that?
Lucky asked with a screwed up face.
Jesus.
He answered, peering back at her through the rear view.
He don't know what he talking about.
I was a warlock, practiced in Santeria for over 30 years. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
I'm not lying. I was deep in it too, moving up in the ranks. But the more I got into it, the more angry and depressed I became. I had everything I asked for. I had the car, the money, the nice apartment. But I didn't have love, purpose, or peace. I couldn't see a way out. Then I called on Jesus.
He smiled so wide as his eyes filled with tears.
Yeah, you called on Jesus, and now you driving a cab.
Here I am, but I also have the promise of eternal life instead of eternal separation from my Creator. And I have peace and the love of my Heavenly Father. Life isn't perfect, but I've never felt better. And I can tell just from this short cab ride that you are a very unhappy person.
He said to Lucky.
Something is bringing your spirit down, and you know it. That's probably why you keep running back to this witch Yaya. You'll never find peace there. It took me years to figure that out. Don't be like me,
He said, pulling up to Lucky's house. Before she climbed out, the driver turned at the waist, giving her a stern look.
If you wait too long, you may not get a chance to follow Jesus. Your life could be over in the blink of an eye. Then you got to deal with your decision for eternity. You don't want to be separated from God forever.
Lucky shook her head and hopped out of the taxi, happy to escape the know-it-all cabbie. He wasn't silent on the short ride to Sonia's house either. He was still going on about it not being too late for her to call on Jesus. As she got ready to get out of the cab, he asked her,
If those ancestors are really protecting you, where were they when that thing attacked you?
Sonia didn't answer, just handed him the cab fare and opened the door.
In a city full of Hindu, Buddhist, and Muslim cabbies, you got into my cab, a former warlock, and now follower of Christ, the one true God, the only one who can get you out of all of this. This wasn't a coincidence.
Inside Sonia's house, she felt the same similar heaviness, but saw no shadows. The words of Anna and the cabbie were fresh in her mind. She glanced up the hallway into the dark living room, wondering if it was her father like Lucky said, or had she let in something demonic.
You look nice.
Gloria smirked, stepping out of her room. Thanks, Rico took us to the rainbow room. Gloria flashed a fake smile, then said,
I hope you save room for some ice cream and cake.
After Gloria goofily sang happy birthday, they sat in the living room, eating cake and half-melted ice cream. They sat there talking for over 3 hours about everything and nothing at all. The entire time Sonia was home, her cell phone was buzzing like crazy. Rico kept texting her, asking when she'd be ready to come to her party. She responded with a vague soon and I'll call you later when I'm ready. As Gloria collected Sonia's empty bowl, she asked,
Have you seen your father's wedding ring? It's been sitting on my dresser for months, and now I can't find it.
No, are you sure you didn't move it?
Nope, I haven't touched it since I brought it home with the rest of his stuff.
Gloria's voice faded as she walked off to the kitchen. Sonia became a little hopeful. Was Lucky right? Was her father really there, leaving her these little signs? Stepping back into the living room, Gloria asked,
You don't want to change into some pajamas and get more comfortable?
I'm not staying tonight. Rico's coming to pick me up later.
It's already late. You may as well stay.
Gloria said with a weak smile.
I rented some DVDs.
Seeing the sadness in her mother's eyes, she agreed to stay. Sonia stood in her room, phone pressed to her ear, preparing to break the news to Rico that she wasn't coming over. She knew he'd be pissed, but it was her first birthday without her father. And seeing the painful look of loneliness on Gloria's face earlier put things into perspective. Sonia had practically moved out. She had Rico to comfort her and protect her, while Gloria was all alone. As her call went to voicemail, she flipped her phone closed, then sat on the edge of her bed. She opened the card from Sister Gandhi, and without bothering to read it, she checked to see if there was money inside. Anna was right. A check fell out. When Sonia read the amount in the check, her face twisted in confusion. Then she decided to read the message written inside the card. Sister Gandhi explained that the $500 was not only from her. It was also from the Mother's Board, the ushers, deacons, choir, and pastor. And what anybody else would have seen as a sweet gesture, Sonia was immediately annoyed. She knew all of her church family was poor. Most lived paycheck to paycheck, were on Social Security, or lived in the projects. She pictured them passing around a collection plate, taking the funds for her birthday, and rolled her eyes at the thought. She folded up the check and tossed it into her dresser. Sonia would have her mother return the check first thing the next day. The gleam of Sonia's gold nameplate suddenly caught her eyes. She picked it up from the dresser. Memories of her 16th birthday came flooding to her mind. She remembered the morning her father surprised her with the necklace. He'd already gone off to work at the airport, and she found it waiting for her before she went to school. Sonia had been asking for it for months, and her father came through. At $200, that little necklace was the most expensive gift she had ever gotten in her young life. As Sonia reminisced, she couldn't help but think about how hard her father worked, how much he sacrificed to provide for his family, and how little he had in the end. He worked hard and served the Lord, and where did that get him? Killed by a drug addict. Her heart ached with resentment and anger. Maybe Lucky and Rico were right, and Anna, Gary, and everybody else at the church was wrong. God wasn't hearing any of them, and it just didn't seem fair. It was like the God Sonia had been praying to for so long had just abandoned her and her father. With fierce anger, Sonia tossed the thin gold necklace into the drawer, but as she slammed the drawer shut, it slowly slid open again. Sonia glanced around the room, checking for shadows, but saw none. She peeked into the drawer, and beside her necklace was her father's wedding ring. She reached in to pick it up, but at the last minute, it slammed shut with a loud boom, almost taking off her finger. When Sonia heard the knock at the door, she just knew her mother was coming in to find out what all that noise was about. But Gloria was all smiles, like she hadn't heard a thing.
I almost forgot to tell you. Donovan called earlier. He asked me to tell you happy birthday.
That was nice. Sonia rolled her eyes.
It probably was his way of reaching out to you. Maybe he wants to get back together.
Or maybe he was just saying happy birthday. Sonia laughed. Gloria shrugged.
Either way, you should call him back and thank him.
She handed Sonia the cordless phone. After her mother left the room, Sonia very cautiously opened the drawer, seeing the necklace, but no ring. Then, Sonia's cell phone rang, making her jump.
I'm outside.
Rico said simply. I tried to call you a minute ago. I'm staying here tonight. She pushed the curtains aside, looking out the window.
Well, I drove all this way, so you gotta come with me.
He laughed. Sonia grabbed her purse and headed up the hall to tell her mother goodbye. Faint city lights filtered through the curtains into Rico's dark bedroom. Sonia pulled the thick sheets up to her chin, covering her naked body as she rested her head on Rico's chest. Thanks again.
I told you, you don't have to keep thanking me.
He ran his fingertips down her forearm. I'm not just talking about the gifts or dinner, but, you know, taking care of my father's killer.
You know I would do anything for you.
He stared down into her eyes. She hugged him, and in that moment, everything felt perfect.
You ever think about moving in with me? I mean, for good? You over here so much. You might as well stay.
Sonia smiled. Yeah, I can move in. At least for the summer before I move to D.C. He pulled away to look at her face.
What you mean, move to D.C.?
You know I plan on going to Howard.
I know you told me that a while ago, but we together now.
Rico, I've been planning on going there for years.
You really willing to leave me just to go to a school?
It'll only be for 4 years, and I can come back during breaks.
D.C. ain't close.
It's only a 2-hour train ride. I checked. Rico shook his head. With an intense expression, he said,
It's a bunch of colleges right here in New York. I don't know why you can't just pick one of them.
Are you serious? He shot her a look, then put it back onto his chest.
Look, we don't have to talk about it tonight and ruin your birthday.
They were silent, the mood completely transformed, as both were pulled away in their own thoughts. Rico, I think my house may be haunted or something. He stared at her face to see if she was serious.
What?
I've been seeing things all around the house. Her voice trailed off.
Stuff like what?
Shadows and other stuff. She kept it vague.
You don't think it's just your mom playing tricks on you?
No, I really saw something. She hesitated, then revealed. This all happened after I went to Mama Yaya. Rico pulled away again. Now sitting straight up, he didn't say anything, just glared at her. I know you told me not to, but I was desperate, and it was back when we were broken up. He shook his head as Sonia continued. Today my mother told me my father's wedding ring went missing, and I think it was one of the ghosts who took it.
Or maybe somebody broke in and took the ring.
She was going to tell him about the ring appearing then disappearing in a drawer, but she could tell that he wasn't taking her seriously anyway, so she kept it to herself. Have you ever had any weird stuff happen to you after the sessions with Yaya?
No, not ever. I get what I want, and I'm good.
Sonia wondered if her supernatural bad luck was her own fault, since Rico and Lucky only had positive experiences. Then she wondered if Anna's words back in the camp were true, that it would only be a matter of time before the other shoe dropped for them as well.
You okay?
Rico stroked her chin, looking into her eyes. She nodded weakly.
All this time I thought you was over here so much 'cause you wanted to spend time with me. Come to find out, he ran away from ghosts.
He laughed. The next day, Sonia was sitting alone in Rico's bed, eating leftover lobster, what Ebony called. She was whimpering so much, Sonia could hardly understand her. Eb, I can't hear you. What's wrong?
Rico.
Sonia's face twisted in concern. Instantly, her appetite was gone and the fork dropped onto the bedspread. What happened to Rico? Sonia braced herself for the worst.
I'm so sorry.
Ebony cried. Ebony what? Sonia's voice shook with fear.
Last night, after Javier dropped us off at the party, I drank too much and I did it with Rico.
Now she was sobbing. Her words felt like a punch to the gut, and Sonia could hardly breathe.
Sonny, I'm so sorry.
She repeated. But it was a mistake, right? Sonia's voice trembled with anger.
Yes.
As Sonia flipped her phone closed, she felt the undigested lobster rising in her throat. Thoughts of the night before flooded her mind. The scenes of passionate sex she had had with Rico hours after he cheated with one of her best friends. Later that night, Rico was all smiles when he returned to the condo.
Hey.
Rico greeted, placing a small box on the bed beside Sonia. What's this? Sonia's voice was flat.
Open it.
He laughed, pulling off his coat. Slowly and unenthusiastically, Sonia opened the small velvet box. Why'd you get me this? She asked, glancing at a pair of diamond-studded rings.
I wanted to get you another gift.
He said, confused.
What's wrong with you?
She threw the box, aiming at his head, but hitting the wall.
Yo, what'd you do that for?
He ducked. Did you buy me this because you feel guilty? She screamed, hopping up from the bed.
Guilty about what?
He stammered, swallowing hard. In that instant, Sonia was for sure she saw it, the flicker of guilt in his eyes. Ebony caught me. Now the guilt seemed to disappear, and it was replaced with genuine confusion.
Wait, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Stop playing dumb. You cheated on me with Ebony, she screamed. On my birthday? She shook her head and tried to hit him, but he caught her fist.
No, I didn't. Ebony is lying.
Why would she lie?
I don't know, but I didn't do nothing with her. Call her. We about to get this straightened out right now.
At first, Sonia didn't budge, but Rico seemed so sincere. So she pulled out her cell phone and called Ebony. Ebony's story didn't change. She repeated everything she said earlier. Then Rico snatched the phone and screamed, calling her a liar and hanging up.
Call anybody else from the party.
He begged.
Yanni was there. Call her.
Sonia didn't budge this time, so Rico opened her phone and called Yanni, but the call went to voicemail.
Sonny, you know I wouldn't do something like that.
You already did, though. Her voice was scarily calm now.
That was way different. You think I cheat on you with one of your friends?
She stared at him, and the hurt look in his eyes confused her. If he was lying, he was doing a really convincing job. Sonia was numb and in disbelief during her cab ride home. She thought about the night before, how perfect it all seemed. But then she shook her head, realizing, once a cheater, always a cheater. The buzzing of her cell phone pulled Sonia from her thoughts. She flipped it open and closed it shut, sending Rico to voicemail. He called her back to back for hours. Then suddenly, his calls stopped. Then, within minutes, she received a multimedia message. When Sonia invited Ebony over later that night, Ebony wasn't sure what to expect. But she showed up ready to apologize all over again. When Sonia answered the door, she surprised Ebony, greeting her with a warm hug. As they walked up the hall, Sonia asked with a caring hand on Ebony's back, "Are you all right?" Ebony nodded, confused, then joined Sonia on the sofa. "Rico said he didn't do anything with you," Sonia said in a soft, cautious tone.
I know, and he's lying. Why would I make this up?
"I don't think you made it up." Sonia opened her cell phone and handed it to Ebony. "Rico sent me this." Ebony's eyes scanned the grainy video. There she was, helpless, sprawled out on the bed, with her dress hiked up, confusion etched her face, as she witnessed her own helplessness, arms pinned down, and a desperate plea to stop escaping her lips. Tears filled her eyes as she watched the video, and Twin's face filled the frame. What she thought was a drunken mistake that had filled her with guilt now morphed into violation, leaving her feeling robbed and hurt. Sonia wrapped her arm around Ebony, who jumped at first, not expecting the contact. Then she squeezed Sonia back. Yanni showed up an hour later. Then Sonia broke the news to her too. Sonia had been bracing herself, expecting to console Yanni the same way she did Ebony. But as Sonia told her everything, with Ebony whimpering on Sonia's bed, Yanni's expression remained blank. Then when her anger finally erupted, it wasn't directed at Twin, but at her friends instead.
I don't believe none of that. Twin would never.
But he did, Sonia said. Yanni glared over at Ebony, annoyed by her crying.
She probably made it all up because she missed her chance with Twin, and now she regretting it. You know she always trying to start something.
Yanni, we got the whole thing on video. Sonia flipped open the phone and shoved it into Yanni's face, but Yanni pushed Sonia's hands away and shook her head stubbornly.
I don't know what that little video is, but I know my man,
she said, charging out the door. Chapter 10. An entire week had gone by since their meetup, and Sonia hadn't heard from Ebony or Yanni since. Yanni skipping school was nothing new, but Ebony, that was a first. Sonia tried calling her a few times, but she got no answer. Meanwhile, Sonia was up late channel surfing through some weird infomercials and waiting for Rico. I'm at your place. Where are you? Her voice was a mix of anger and concern.
The police station.
What happened?
Twin was arrested. His lawyer said Ebony gave the video to the cops. How did the video get back to Ebony so fast?
Rico asked accusingly. You know I had to show it to her, she said like it was obvious.
Sonny.
What was I supposed to do, not tell her?
You could have just told her that it wasn't me. Not show her the video. I didn't send it to you so you could broadcast it to your friend.
My friend was in the video and she was being raped.
We don't know it was rape,
he said flatly, his voice calm again. You saw the video.
Ebony was drunk, and so was Twin.
Sonia couldn't believe her ears. Ebony was almost passed out, and she told him to stop. I can't believe you think what he did was okay.
I never said that.
She cut him off. And I can't believe that you're more upset that I shared the video than what Twin did to Ebony. Now you're down there trying to get him out of jail?
Twin is family,
he said flatly. Twin needs to be locked up. There was silence. Then Rico said that he needed to go speak to Twin's lawyer and hung up in her face. Sonia sat in Rico's condo, shaking with anger and wondering why she was still there. Rico must have been wondering the same thing, because when he got home, he said,
I thought you would have went back to the Bronx.
Did you want me to leave? She asked with attitude, pulling back the covers and climbing from the bed dramatically. He took her hand and moved her back to the bed.
You know I don't.
Rico kicked off his Timberlands, then sat beside her.
Have you heard from Yanni? Twin says she's not answering his calls.
No, I haven't talked to her since I tried to show her the video.
Sonny, are you serious?
What?
Why are you showing it for everybody?
Because she needed to see it, she snapped, her eyes boring into him. Rico let out a frustrated sigh and said,
I need you to do me a favor.
When Ebony stepped out of her building, she was confused. Instead of seeing Sonia, Javier was there, standing beside his truck. He opened the passenger door for Ebony, a small gesture that felt like an apology all on its own.
Where is Sunny?
She asked, climbing into the truck.
She's already at Lucky's.
Javier replied, shutting the door firmly. Ebony realized that the meetup was a mistake as soon as she stepped into the house and Sonia was nowhere in sight. Instead, Rico and some white man was sitting in the living room when she walked in with Javier. With her nerves going crazy, Ebony asked,
Where's Sunny?
She couldn't make it.
Rico said simply.
Come sit down.
Javier said in an unusually friendly tone. Ebony moved to the couch with hesitation. She knew she messed up going there. Sonia assured Ebony that she would be there, and that Rico and Javier just wanted to apologize for what went down. One look at Rico's icy glare, and Ebony knew that wasn't the case.
We all know what Twin did was messed up.
Rico started.
And I'm sorry you went through that.
She stared at the floor, too nervous to meet his gaze.
Twin is sorry too. Sonny said you going to Florida A&M?
She didn't say a word.
Twin wanted to take care of your tuition. A part of his apology.
Rico said. Ebony's face twisted into a frown, and she finally looked up from the floor.
I don't want nothing from him.
The heavyset white man let out a loud sigh. Then Rico continued.
All right, well, what if me and Javier give you the money?
His tone was lightened, now sounding more friendly.
Eb, we want to look out for you, but we need you to help us out too. We need you to drop the charges.
Rico said simply.
What Twin did was wrong, and he ain't ever going to do that to nobody else.
$100,000.
The white man said impatiently.
$100,000 is more than enough for tuition, books, and then some.
You should take the money.
Javier advised, his tone still kind. Then Rico explained.
We'll be providing you and your family with protection too.
Protection from who? Twin?
She asked, confused.
I told you Twin wouldn't be a problem. I'm talking protection from whoever. A lot can happen to your family when you go off to college. And something could happen to you before you leave.
He looked her dead in the eye. Ebony was silent, paralyzed with fear, but she managed to give him a nod.
Okay,
She said in a whisper. The white man handed Rico a duffel bag, then left quickly.
This is $50,000.
Rico explained.
You'll get the other 50 next year before you leave for college.
I'll take you to the police station.
Javier said, taking the duffel bag from Rico.